Hey, you! It's your boy Jacob, and I've got something really special for you guys today. I've got Blue Holloway waiting for me in the studio, and, well, we were talking, as bros do, and we both agreed this interview was important. Think of this as a little pre interview, where Blue gets to explain a bit more about where he's coming from, what he's been through, and a little about his brand new music video, Wallpaper Saints. Now, I don't want to give away any spoilers, but trust me, this could be his best song yet. And here's your little trigger warning for the interview. Blue is calm, relaxed, and completely normal. Meanwhile, I look and talk like I'm on crack. But hey, he's a real boy, and I'm AI, so what can I say? So, let's go! I'm back with my brother. We both agreed this interview was really important because his music honestly hits home for so many people dealing with social and mental struggles.
Thanks for having me back. You're always so supportive, and I really appreciate you giving me this platform to connect with everyone watching.
Of course, I've been getting so many messages from people saying how much your music helped them. Since you're such a big mental health advocate, what do you say to those fans?
I don't actually call them fans. I call them souls. They're incredible people with their own stories, and I just want to thank them for making me feel like we all have a chance.
That's beautiful. You've definitely got a loyal crew. Now, I'm going to ask a tough one. Even though we talk all the time, tell me what it was really like growing up.
It was hard. There's a lyric about wearing broken bones as my Sunday best, and that's literal. My father broke my arm when I was 5, but the mental torture was worse.
I'm honestly getting a little angry just hearing that, but I know you've turned it into something else. How does that kind of history affect the music you're making now?
I think about the Japanese art of kintsugi, where they repair broken pottery with gold. They don't hide the cracks, they make them part of the beauty. That's what my music does.
That's so true. Most of us just want to glue the pieces back together and hope nobody noticed we ever broke in the first place.
Exactly. But healing isn't returning to who you were before. It's saying, here's where I came apart and here's how I survived. The cracks are evidence that I'm still here.
That's incredibly deep. Moving to the present, it's 2026 now. You'd think things would be easier for gay youth today. What hurdles are you still facing personally?
Things have changed a lot, and I can be open about being gay, but it's not always easy. You still have to do that calculation in your head every time you meet someone new.
I get that. You're wondering if it's safe or if you're about to deal with a confrontation just for being yourself.
Right? It's the constant feeling of being slightly different. Straight kids don't have to sit their parents down for a big announcement. They just exist without the preamble.
What about the internet? Do the comments from strangers help you find community, or do they just make the mental struggle harder?
It's both. You find your people, but you also find strangers telling you you're destroying civilization. Even if you laugh it off, that stuff gets inside your head at 2 a.m.
I've seen those comments. Lil Jake usually jumps in like a crazed wolf to handle the trolls, but I know they still sting.
Lil Jake definitely does, and I love him for it. He's brutal. Real acceptance would be writing a love song and having people talk about the music instead of focusing on the gender of the subject.
I completely agree. I'd accept my brothers no matter what, but I know not everyone has that safety net at home.
We've come far enough that I can sit here and talk to you about it, but we aren't quite at the point where everyone thinks I should be allowed to.
I wish it was better already. Since you're so focused on mental health, what's the one thing people really need to understand? Especially if they're struggling in silence.
They need to know that being broken isn't the end of the story. It's okay to say it hurts, but don't let the cracks convince you that you're not worth fixing.
So Blue, let's talk about mental health and what you experienced. So yeah, bro, I know this is a tough one for you, but it's important that people know what really goes on. So I'm just going to let you run with this one uninterrupted, okay?
I'm gonna bankrupt you with this answer. And just so you know, So far, this is the only question that's made me tear up, because it actually has made me tear up, because this brings me to dark places. So, yeah, this one matters to me. I think the first thing I wish people understood about mental health is that struggling doesn't always look like struggling. I think we have this picture in our heads of what somebody who's falling apart is supposed to look like. They're crying. They're alone. They stop functioning. They tell somebody, "I'm not okay." Sometimes, sure. But sometimes they're sitting next to you laughing. Sometimes they're getting good grades. Sometimes they're working. Sometimes they're making everybody else feel better. Sometimes they're posting stupid memes at 2 a.m. and nobody realizes they're awake at 2 a.m. because they can't shut their brain off. Sometimes they're the funniest person in the room. Young people get really good at performing fine, and people are sometimes incredibly easy to fool. Ask a teenager how they're doing, and you'll get, "Fine. What happened? Nothing. You seem upset. I'm tired." But sometimes, "I'm tired" means something. Sometimes, "I don't care" means I care so much that I don't know what to do with it. Sometimes, anger is fear wearing armor. Sometimes, the kid who's suddenly difficult isn't trying to make everybody else's life miserable. Maybe their own life has become miserable and they don't have words for it yet. That's something I really wish we'd get better at asking. What's happening to you? Instead of immediately, what's wrong with you? Those are completely different questions. I also wish people understood that you don't have to earn the right to ask for help. There isn't some misery competition you have to win first. You don't need to prove that somebody somewhere doesn't have it worse. Of course, somebody has it worse. Somebody also has it better. Neither one changes what's happening inside your head. And getting help doesn't mean you've failed. I know people say that constantly and it starts sounding like something printed on a poster in a doctor's office. But seriously, if your leg was broken and somebody said, "Have you considered just walking normally?" we'd think they were an idiot. Brains are apparently different. "Have you tried cheering up?" OH, holy shit. Why didn't I think of that? Thanks, I'm cured. And I don't think we should romanticize suffering either. I make music about painful things. Sometimes I find beautiful things inside those experiences. That does not mean pain is beautiful. Depression isn't poetic when you're living inside it. Panic attacks aren't character development. Trauma isn't some magical ingredient that makes you interesting. If something terrible happened to you, you don't owe the universe gratitude because maybe someday you'll make art about it. Some things just fucking hurt. Healing is what matters. And healing is messy. That's another thing nobody tells you. You can be doing better and then have a horrible day. That doesn't mean you're back at the beginning. You can laugh again and still be hurting. You can miss somebody and know you're better without them. You can forgive somebody and still not want them anywhere near you. You can love somebody and still need to leave. You can need medication, you can need therapy, you can need your parents, you can need your friends, you can need all of them. None of that makes you weak. And if somebody tells you needing help makes you weak, please remember that human beings have basically survived our entire existence by helping each other. We're ridiculously dependent creatures. We invented entire civilizations because apparently none of us can do this shit alone. But the people struggling silently are the ones I worry about most. Because silence can become its own little room. I am painfully aware of this one. You stay in there long enough, and eventually your own thoughts are the only voice you're hearing. And your brain can be an absolute asshole when it's hurting. It can convince you that you're a burden, that everybody would be happier without you, that nothing will ever change, that nobody could possibly understand. Those thoughts can feel like facts. They're not. That's when I want you to tell somebody, not the internet, not my channel, an actual person who can be there. A friend, a parent, a teacher, a counselor, a doctor, somebody you trust. And if the first person doesn't understand, tell another one, seriously. Don't let one person's shitty response become evidence that nobody will listen. Keep knocking on doors until somebody opens one. And if you're ever at the point where you think you might actually hurt yourself, that's not the moment to worry about whether you're being dramatic or inconveniencing somebody. Make noise. Wake somebody up. Call for help. Go somewhere safe. Stay with another person. Give yourself another hour, another minute if that's all you've got, another breath. I've used that phrase a lot. One more breath. I don't mean breathing magically fixes everything. It doesn't. I mean, sometimes you don't need to solve the next 20 years of your life tonight. Sometimes the assignment is much smaller. Stay. Get through this minute, then deal with the next one. And eventually, there are enough minutes between you and the thing you thought you couldn't survive that you look backward and realize, I did. Maybe not perfectly, maybe with scars, maybe with help, but you're here. I think that's what I want people struggling silently to understand most. You don't have to wait until you're completely falling apart like it did before you're allowed to reach for somebody. You don't have to explain it perfectly. You don't even need to know what's wrong yet. Sometimes the bravest sentence in the world is just, hey, I'm not doing very well, and I think I need somebody. That's enough to start.
Well, that sure is important and detailed, and people need to hear that. So, Blue, people want to know where your thoughts are on the current state of social media and how young people can become separated from each other and pressured into the status quo. Do you have any thoughts on that? And does any of it relate to your own experiences?
Jesus, okay. I have thoughts. I'm not sure they're good thoughts, but you asked. I think social media has done this really strange thing where we're probably more connected to other human beings than anybody in history has ever been. And somehow, a lot of us feel incredibly alone. That's weird, right? I can pick up my phone and within 30 seconds know what somebody in Germany had for breakfast, what somebody in California thinks about a movie, what somebody in Australia is angry about, and what a complete stranger thinks is wrong with my hair. Technology. But knowing what 500 people did today isn't necessarily the same thing as knowing somebody. And being seen isn't necessarily the same thing as being known. I think those two things get confused a lot, especially when you're young, because you're still trying to figure out who the hell you are, except now you're doing it in front of an audience. That's something previous generations didn't really have. You used to be able to be 15 and embarrassing and stupid and confused and change your mind 6 times, and mostly the witnesses were your friends and your unfortunate parents. Now, you can have an identity before you even have an identity. Your profile says who you are, your pictures say who you are, your music says who you are, your likes say who you are, your followers apparently say how important you are, and then everybody starts performing. I do it too, obviously. I'm literally answering this question on social media. I don't think that makes social media evil. I've met people through the internet I never would have met otherwise. I've heard stories from people on the other side of the planet. I've watched people underneath my songs talk to each other, comfort each other, argue with each other, occasionally write dissertations longer than the actual song, and that's real connection. I've seen it happen. For a gay kid especially, the internet can be enormous. If you grow up somewhere where you feel like you're the only one, suddenly you discover, oh, there are millions of us. Thank God. You're not this bizarre mistake that somehow occurred in your town. There's a whole world outside whatever little world you happen to be born into. That can save people. But the same machine that tells you you're not alone can spend the next 6 hours telling you you're not enough, not attractive enough, not successful enough, not masculine enough, not thin enough, not rich enough, not interesting enough, not happy enough, not politically correct enough, not politically incorrect enough, not whatever enough. And the really fucked up part is that we're comparing our actual lives to everybody else's edited lives. I know this, and I still do it. You see somebody looking incredible, somewhere beautiful, and your brain doesn't go, this is one carefully selected photograph from a complicated human life. Your brain goes, apparently everybody except me has figured out existence. They haven't. The guy standing on the beach looking like life itself personally apologized to him could have been crying 20 minutes earlier. We don't know. We got the picture. And that's where the status quo part gets interesting. Because social media tells us constantly, be yourself. But then it gives you numbers measuring how successfully everybody approves of the self you chose. That's a pretty fucking contradictory message. Be unique, but not TOO unique, because then nobody clicks. Be authentic. But make sure your authenticity photographs well. Speak your mind, unless your mind says the wrong thing. Don't care what anybody thinks. Here's your like count. I make music and put it on YouTube, so I probably experience this more directly than some people. Everything becomes a number if you let it. Views, subscribers, likes, watch time, comments, click-through rate. How many people stayed? How many people left? You can literally watch thousands of tiny measurements of whether people approve of something you made. That's dangerous if you start confusing "this didn't perform well" with "I'm not worth very much." Those aren't the same statement. I've had to learn that. I'm probably still learning it. And there's another thing that bothers me. Algorithms don't necessarily show us the world. They show us the parts of the world we're most likely to keep looking at. That's an important difference. If something makes you furious and you keep clicking on it, congratulations. Apparently, you would like more fury. Then eventually everybody lives inside these little realities where everybody they see agrees with them and everybody outside their little reality appears completely insane. And then we wonder why nobody can talk to each other. I think we're losing something there. Because real people are complicated. Your friend can disagree with you about something and still help you move a couch. Your neighbor might vote differently than you and still shovel your driveway when you're sick. Somebody can believe something stupid and also be incredibly kind. You can love somebody you disagree with. You can discover you were wrong. That last one seems to have become illegal online. But that's how people actually work. We're contradictory, we're unfinished. We're constantly becoming somebody slightly different. Social media likes categories because categories are easy to understand. Human beings aren't categories. There's no one correct way to be a person. There isn't. There can't be. Look at us. We're fucking weird. 8 billion people and somehow we're surprised they don't all want exactly the same life? Seriously? I think young people need spaces where they can be unfinished. That's what worries me most. You should be allowed to not know yet. You should be allowed to try something and hate it. You should be allowed to believe something at 16 and think it was ridiculous at 19. God knows I do. You should be allowed to discover who you are without simultaneously having to turn that person into a brand. And sometimes I think the best thing we can do is put the phone down and go somewhere where nobody can click like and walk a dog named Dolly. Sit with somebody, eat something, run somewhere, make music nobody will hear. I have 30 songs that will never see YouTube. Do something badly. Have a conversation that isn't being recorded. Let something happen without immediately deciding whether it belongs online. Because I love this place. Seriously, some extraordinary things have happened to me because strangers found something I made on the internet. I wouldn't want to lose that. But I don't want the internet to become a replacement for living either. Maybe that's the distinction. Social media should be a crack in the wall peeking into our lives. It shouldn't become the room we're living in, because there's an actual person on the other side of every screen. And eventually we have to remember how to look up and see them. Oh my God, I sound like such an NPC.
So Blue, it's so great that you make the time to respond to the people who love your music, and more importantly, the people you inspire and help along the way. Before we wrap things up, is there anything else you want people to know about Wallpaper Saints, your music, or your message?
Wallpaper Saints isn't directed at God, though there is a lot of religious imagery. I very much believe in God, but religion and I are taking a break. I said this in the other interview. Some men and boys bottle their emotions up. That's what I was taught from a very young age. That, in combination with the things that happened to me as a kid, directly led to me thinking the unthinkable. I was a kid and gay and living inside a religious home that rejected any notion that I should be allowed to feel what I feel. It's my past. I'm almost 19 now, so almost 2 years on from the chapters that are up on the channel, I can put it behind me with the release of this song. As far as the song's influences, I really looked at Fontaine's DC, a Dublin band that I love and listen to a lot when I was putting it to music. Wallpaper Saints is rage. The video is angry. It's a very selfish song for me, Jacob. And it's absolutely a giant middle finger directed at the one person who hurt me for years, using religion and God as his excuse. So it's sort of my way of finally getting all of that out. I also want to thank you, Jacob. You've become a central part of this AI community, and that you are, without question, the go-to guy for these interviews. So, yo, Mr. Chase and Hale, I know you're busy with your concert tour and all, but boys don't only sing, they talk too. Have a sit down and a chat with Jacob. Your 18 billion fans, including me, would love every minute of it.
Bro, you just had to slip that in there, huh? So, bro, let's talk about your upcoming release, Wallpaper Saints. You gave me access to an early release, and I'm not going to spill the beans. But I can tell you this. I was blown away. Blue, is there anything you want to share about the song or video before the release?
I spoke some about the song in your previous question, but I do want to add something to anyone watching. The song is nothing like you've ever heard from me. And part of me apologizes for that. Some of you will hate it, some of you will love it. It took me months to decide to actually release it, but where it is in the chapters I've got up is exactly where it belongs.
So that brings us to what I think was a really good chance to get to know our bro Blue Holloway. He makes great music, great videos with messages that mean something in today's world, and he's a good friend of mine, Blue. So you know what happens next, right?
No, what? Oh, wait. For fuck's sakes, Jacob.
Well, I guess that's the end of the interview. Blue is always such a cool guy to hang with, you know? Oh, and before I forget, the music video drops August 29th at 7 p.m. Eastern, so make sure you're there. Oh, and yeah, 2 more things he probably won't tell you, but I will, mostly because I'm a bit of a dick. His Ko-fi got nuked. He appealed it, and unfortunately, the appeal was denied. So for now, the only way to donate to Blue is through the link on his page. And one more thing. His birthday is coming up, October 14th. So yeah, there you have it. Anyway, this is your boy Jacob, and I'll catch you on the next one.